Time for the power panel. It's kind of a quasi-graphic.
Yeah.
First run at it. Okay. All right. Joining us on the power panel, Michael Schur, otherwise known as Epic Politics Man. We've got that graphic coming up later for you as well.
I'm really looking forward to it.
You should be. Brian Unger, one of the regulators. How are you, Brian?
Do I have a nickname?
Not yet. We're working on it.
Let's get JR. Can you get on the nickname thing?
I'm gonna give you a
What are you talking about? I wore a tie and everything. I deserve a nickname.
The Unger.
I like that.
Something.
Yeah, under the radar. I will work on it.
All right, we'll work on it. Okay. And David Sirota, who is, of course, The Uprising. That's after one of his books. Makes a lot of sense. David, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Jake.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right, so let's get started. Payroll tax. First, can we all agree, easy one here, Republicans, when they say they're not interested in a tax cut for the middle class, or if they are, you're going to have to pay for it by firing 200,000 people from the federal government, are full of it. Can we all get agreement on that?
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Agreed, David?
Absolutely.
All right, now let's get on to the tougher question.
Absolutely.
Tougher question, David, and I'm going to start with you, is what should progressives think about the payroll tax cut, given that it's depleting or could deplete the Social Security fund?
I think in the short term, it's structured in a progressive way. That is to say that a firefighter, let's say, gets the same tax cut as a billionaire. So in that sense, it's structured in a way that's as fair as possible. So in the short term, right, I think it's not bad policy. The problem is in the medium term and the long term, do you think there's going to be a president in place who's going to make sure that when hopefully the economy gets better, that this tax cut doesn't become something permanent, which then becomes a permanent drain on Social Security? That's the big fear. So in that sense, I don't have that confidence, and I'm concerned that the Obama administration has gotten us into an argument with the Republicans to say, well, our tax cut is better than your tax cuts, basically asserting that we should be debating whenever we have an economic problem, tax cuts, only tax cuts.
You know, Michael, I'm concerned about the same two things David's talking about. Always the answer is tax cuts. And second of all, look, this thing's going to get permanent before you know it. I mean, it was supposed to be 1 year, now it's supposed to be 2 years. When does it ever stop?
Well, what Harry Reid, what the Democrats are talking about today is they're talking about having a sunset to this. This is going to be a 10-year tax cut. This is going to be as temporary as David is saying it needs to be. It's also the kind of tax cut, you know, in order to do that, to have this exchange, the Democrats have dropped what they're calling the millionaire surcharge, which is, you know, 1.5% to 2%. It's going to be on top of everybody making $1 million. They're going to have to pay that much extra in tax. It is, I'd have to agree with David, it is a short-term anathema, but it's a short-term antidote to what they need, but it's anathema to a lot of the people that are trying to legislate.
Brian, where do you come out on this? I mean, it's got ups and downs.
Well, to pay for it, first of all, we should just close down the rest of the post office because we've already started. And we could pick up a few billion extra dollars.
Well,
there,
the Republicans
right?
will definitely join you.
So no more snail mail. I mean, look, I think this
So
is...
then we'll have to pay $15 for every letter.
Yeah, who needs access to mail? You know,
Mail,
basically,
it's so
go
antiquated.
to FedEx, go to the...
Go get a computer.
Who doesn't enjoy sending a $38 letter overnight to your mom? You know what?
Get privatizing, get a big business to run it,
Yeah.
get Republicans to run it, it'll be perfect.
I don't mean to change the subject. I think this is kind of like a prelude to the big event. This is what I'd like to get to, and as we get closer to the bone on the big issue, which is basically dismantling of the welfare state versus someone who believes that this system serves a useful purpose in the long run. And I think we're just warming up to this big philosophical debate between Newt Gingrich and Obama or someone else.
I agree with you, and I don't think we're helping ourselves by framing it in the way the Republicans want it, which is tax cuts to the answer, and let's deplete the Social Security fund and see what happens. I think it's a bad idea. But look, on the other hand, as we talked about, every middle-class family is going to get $1,500 back. That's a big stimulus to the economy, and that's a lot to the middle class.
And I just want to add too that it's for progressives, it's an easy thing to. You can be pro-business and be a progressive. And I think that is something that people need to keep in mind as they start taking positions on tax cuts.
Definitely.
That's what Alan Grayson said. It cuts the cost of hiring people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
but
that's important.
so I got to get a final answer from you guys. Given all those ups and downs, which way would you vote? Would you vote in favor of the payroll tax cut or not?
I would definitely vote in favor of the payroll tax cut.
How about you, David?
I'd vote for it. Yeah, I'd vote for it.
Wow, that's interesting because I'm going to vote no. I thought Sirota was going to be with me on this one, but I lose 3-1. Power panel says go for the payroll tax cut. All right, now, second topic is why are all the Republicans kissing Donald Trump's ass. I don't get it. I mean, do they want money from him, Michael? Do they want it? Was the endorsement important? It doesn't look like it.
You know, it is a real mystery. I mean, there's an NBC Marist poll out that says that, and the exact percentage is that most voters in Iowa would be turned off by the endorsement of Donald Trump. It is beyond me why people go to them. I mean, I understand why you would go to the Cardinal in a big city if you're running for mayor. I'd understand why you would go to Bill Clinton if you were running for the presidency and you were a Democrat. I do not understand what Donald Trump brings.
What's your theory, Brian?
Guys, this is no mystery to me whatsoever. As we stand here in the shadow of the glorious Hollywood Hills, it is very evident that Donald Trump is a media superstar. He's got his own television show. People like him. Millions of people watch him because he's a funny guy and he has a great reality show. This is just moving the political system one step closer to a reality show, which we've always joked about through the years. Now it's kind of coming to pass, and soon he will probably preside over the election himself in a boardroom.
Well, I mean, he's going to preside over a debate of the Republicans, and then he says he might run against them anyway. It's all clownorama. I mean,
it is.
And I actually agree with Karl Rove here. He thinks Sarah Palin's endorsement is more important. I think that's right. She's got a reality show, and some Republicans actually care about her. But I got to move on to the last topic. David, let me start with you on this one. Now that Herman Cain is out, who is in the proverbial Final Four, as Herman Cain would put it? Who's the other candidate that's got a shot?
I mean, I think it's Gingrich, Romney, Ron Paul, and maybe an outside chance for Rick Perry. Now, the only reason I say Rick Perry is because he is a guy who has connections to a lot of money, and never underestimate the power of money to try to buy an election or at least buy an underdog. My hope in this is that Ron Paul actually surges to victory, because Ron Paul actually can create a debate in this country about issues that never get debated or rarely get debated. I'm not saying I'm for Ron Paul, but what I'm saying is that we could start having a debate in this country about civil liberties, about war, about militarism, all the issues that the Obama administration doesn't want to debate.
David, we got to go real quick. Is there anybody you think? No one.
I mean, Ron Paul's the second choice of 7% of Iowa voters, right? He doesn't have a chance.
Brian, anybody?
I don't prognosticate on this. There's too much time left, but I do believe, and I agree with Dave, Ron Paul is running for the White House. Newt is running for the nomination. I think a better conversation comes about
Definitely
through Ron Paul.
Ron Paul is the answer. I think he's in the quote-unquote Final Four.